If you need the water, check the beaches in the Carolinas. If you need the mountains, try the Appalachian Trail. If you need the redwood trees, gotta go to Yosemite. If you need me, 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 I'll be in Kansas City.
Welcome to Kansas City Limits Radio. I'm your host, Robert Bierce. Today in the studio, we've got Kurt Caldwell. If you haven't heard about this guy, you're getting ready to, and what makes him tick and how he sounds. And before we get there, hello, J.E.
Robert Bierce. How
my
are
other
you, my
partner
friend?
in crime here, the Kansas City Limits founder, J.E. Cornwell. It's a beautiful day here in Kansas City. It's a little bit hotter than normal for the fall weather, but we're enjoying it. Hey, before we get into the show, we want to thank those that make it possible. This just doesn't magically happen without the help of others. So we want to thank Kansas City RVs, voted 2023's favorite RV dealer in Kansas City by the Kansas City Star. We want to thank AMPR, Area Musicians Promotional Resource, a non-for-profit organization. We want to thank Black Moon Media, LLC, photos, videos for Magical Souls, and our partners with the Kansas City Limits television program. Open Mortgage, where better is possible. Check out the residential loans today. Knuckleheads KC, a music joint voted #1 music venue in Kansas City by the Kansas City Magazine. Been around since 2001. Kansas City Limits TV and radio. Those are our shows and our productions spotlighting Kansas City local musicians and much, much more. Soundworks Recording Studio, where this program takes place right here in Blue Springs for over 20 years, where Kansas City Limits is obviously recorded. And we want to thank Andy for all the hard work he puts into it. S&S Printing, a commercial printing and design company. If you need them, call them. They'll take care of you. B4 Productions, creating commercials and videos. They'll bring your ideas to life. And Midwest Music Foundation, giving local musicians the care they deserve. Welcome to the show, Kurt.
Thanks for having me, really.
Thank you.
Quite an honor.
Thank you for being here. I know we were briefly touching base on how we met, but I know when we did meet, we were at a music event
Absolutely.
here this summer, and we got to talking about, you know, some of the things that you were doing. I thought, man, this sounds like a good gig for you to be on our radio show.
Shazam.
So here you are. See how that works out? I love that.
It's fate.
I would have to thank Scotty Eggleston, because I follow him as a musician, and it was his musical time, and he was up there with some friends that I've played with, and
That's right.
That was my
thanks to
first
Scotty
hosting night there at TV World.
And very good job.
Yeah. Scotty's he's a cool dude.
That was
really
on the
is.
patio over at the Shriners,
Shriners.
there in Overland Park.
Scotty's a laid-back cat.
Oh, yeah. He's a good dude. All those guys are. I mean, that's Cody and him that have been playing a while, because he'll, you know, play with Cowardly Lions, but Seth, you know, he spends a lot of his time with Deanne and those guys at Superstar Mafia, and then Geronimo.
yeah, he's awesome.
I love saying that.
Yeah.
I guess he's playing a lot of gigs with.
He's moved around, you know. I think he left his main band, and he's being solo, and I've seen him play with Stolen Winnebagos. You know, and I think Colby was taking a little time off, so yeah, he's a friend of mine. Good people.
He's a good musician.
Yeah,
he's a good musician.
Good singer and everything. Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump into this. So, you know, your music history, as you put down on your form here, is
in 1902.
Yeah, exactly. I'm older than you think. But we won't give up the ghost. You know?
Okay.
When the banjo was invented.
We want to know a little bit about Kurt Caldwell's music history. Why don't you inform us on that?
Okay. Well, as a young man, I was in Atlanta, and I sang original as the lead singer. Never really picked up a guitar. Could play some cowboy chords, but I never helped the band write. I was just sang melodies to the riffage, and I had to sing really loud over the Marshalls, and you know. And then I moved to Baltimore, and I was in an original band there, kind of like Jesus Lizard meets, I don't know, the Melvins. So I was screaming my head off. which is weird because now I've kind of mellowed my style. So
Right.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
Well, you know, because he came full circle.
that's where I get my melody and maybe my intensity. But moved to Kansas, to Overland Park in 2008, raising my kids, really out of music. You know, my wife at the time she was in an acoustic duo in Atlanta, and you know, we were both musicians. Our bands broke up, so we moved around anyway. We kind of went through a rough time, and I was going through probably, you know, right before the divorce, I started to pick up the guitar again, realized that I could print up something and look at the chords, and I started to play and sing at the same time. I'm like, wow, I can kind of do this. Some neighbors would walk by, go, "You sound good." And, you know, the divorce.
It only takes one neighbor.
Yeah, the divorce happened.
Next time you put a hat out, didn't you, or something?
Yeah, here's where the hat. Then I started busking.
Busking.
At the Overland Park Clock Tower. Some people don't know what that means, but it's basically,
Tell us.
you go to New York in the subway, the people are playing with their guitar case open.
That's called busking.
When you're not really supposed to be there, you're not at a gig, you're just playing for free
Right.
to get noticed.
Right.
And I got noticed
Sure.
by Josh Pedersen, who's the director of operations of the Red Door.
Okay.
And I'd never played a gig in my life. And he said, "I want you on my patio Friday, Saturday, and Sunday brunch." And I said, "Serious?"
Cool.
It happened.
Right.
I carried them through COVID. I cut my teeth just playing, you know, to people that are having dinner, and,
Right.
you know, so that's kind of where it got started.
Right on.
Oh, that is cool.
So that gave you lots of repetitive patterns of being in front of people, and you probably changed up your style, maybe even changed up your set list to keep it fresh.
Well, yeah, I've definitely improved my craft and the way I go about it, but I've got some good equipment now. It stays in my van. I can just drive from my day job right into a gig and set up and be ready to go in about 30 minutes. But
What's
yeah, I
the
mean,
day
I've
job?
learned songs to make people happier, and I'm like, that's a good one for me. But my song list is pretty, you know, more 70s. I really can touch the hearts of a lot of 50s, you know, 60-year-olds, 40-year-olds.
Is that because that's the music you like, or is that the kind of music you like to perform?
I think I learned to play easier songs. I don't want to say Neil Young is easy, but
No, but very nostalgic and structured, very almost predictably.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the things that moved me. Like, melody is the number one thing.
Sure.
Lyrics, sometimes I'm like, wow, those lyrics are killing me. They're awesome. But
Right.
it's the melody and the guitar tones. And I don't listen to a lot of really heavy stuff anymore. I'm not against it at all, but I'm more mellow.
Well, if it's
you
a
know?
cover song and it got play time, I mean, and a lot of it, I mean, obviously that's what people like, you
Yeah.
know, or it wouldn't have been on there to begin with. So it's always a good rule of thumb is to, you know, those things. What you were mentioning, you load up the van. What is your day job? What do you do?
I sell motorcycle service. So I started as a mechanic, service manager, and this was being hired away from being like a cook or a sous chef. I was like, you know, my wife is a teacher now. I'm working all these weekends and brunches. So in Baltimore, one of my best friends hired me into the motorcycle industry, and I've been in it since 2000.
Wow.
So I used to race motorcycles, road race. I've been a mechanic, but now I'm on the side of, I listen to your problems. I know how to do a walk around on a bike and let people understand what they need to do. And
Cool.
so I work at Reno's Power Sports.
Nice.
You know,
My buddy Hal plays bass in our band, and he is the oldest man still alive driving a Hayabusa,
okay.
I think.
I actually did recalls on the Hayabusa back in 2000, having the cams out and everything.
Dude, it's the freakiest thing. It's like, you know, he walks like he's been riding horses his whole entire life.
know.
And then, you know, you open up his garage, there's a Hayabusa. I'm like, and then I jack with him all the time. I go, we ever going to build a ramp for this? I mean, we ever going to jump over the band or something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, the Snake River Canyon. You know,
Right.
I was a big,
He actually did that and wiped out.
I was a big Evil Knievel fan back in the day. You know?
Me too. All right. So did you touch on the recordings?
I haven't, you know.
Let's get into that.
You know, part of obviously your journey being in multiple different musical ensembles and playing different kinds of things from heavy to, you know, consistent songs of the 70s, you know, you're recording or you got some current recordings going on, and what is that coming out? What's the motivation, and what are you excited about with that current project?
Well, original songs will come out sometimes. I don't put a lot of time into forcing them, but
Okay.
the ones that have come out, I've played at Jerry's Bait Shop and places, and I've kind of brought myself and a couple of people to tears with some of them, and I'm like, I got to do something with these.
Sure.
Because my 15-year-old is recording electronic music and it's already put it out on Spotify, so I'm like, he's beat me to the punch. So I'm actually, I got 4 tracks down with Scott Harrison. He lives out in Bonner Springs.
Are you recording it at his place?
At his place.
Yeah.
And I've got the guitar and the vocals down. I'm actually been reaching out to Seth and Cody Bennett, and I want to put some sweetness to them, and then
Sure.
just put them out. Real simple stuff. So
Awesome. What
Can't hardly wait for that.
What triggered those? Was it the words or the music?
I think going through, a downtime and leaving a family, and I'm still with them, supportive, but going through divorce.
Sure. The D.
Most of the songs really are straight from that.
One of the very first songs I ever wrote was from a divorce. And, because you'll rip your heart out in half. And writing that song, honestly, healed me in a lot of ways, and it gave me perspective. And I think that's a lot of what a songwriter's job is. Even, you're healing yourself, but you're somehow going to heal someone else with this song, and you just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about what you're doing when you record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this your first recording project that you've kind of put together, like the Kurt project? Or
Yeah, the first me thing.
the first you thing.
The old bands got into some studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
KC Kurt.
Yeah, this is the KC Kurt.
It's his freshman album, people. You're going to have to check it out.
I love it.
I'll definitely promote it when it's done.
And we'll be happy to help.
It. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. So what is your style then? You mentioned 70s are the covers you cover, but what is your style as an artist?
Singer-songwriter, more of a sadder tone. I'm not a real accomplished lead player. There's not a lot of fancy guitar playing. One of my goals is to get better at finger picking, but pretty much just
storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling for sure.
Excellent.
Melodic choruses, and
there's this guy. He did okay, I think, in that genre. He's been around a while. Willie Nelson.
And another one named Neil Young.
He's told some stories. Yeah,
Neil Young.
Yeah, they both made a lot of money
Dylan.
for the Farm Aid here this last time around.
Them damn storytellers.
They're older than the hills.
Old Bob Dylan, he's told some good ones.
Good God.
His lyrics move me. I do a lot of Bob Dylan, and
he was just in town, and he had a pretty good show. I didn't get a chance to go to it, but I like that playbill that he put out where it looks like he's turned into a skeleton,
Oh,
yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, like, I'm going to be playing forever. You don't know this.
Yeah.
I'm currently making a hologram of myself.
I saw Joan Baez was on Sunday
Joan.
morning and talking, of course, she loved Bob. And, he left her and moved on to
Would have been
greener
a great
pastures.
musical baby.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Talk about some folk.
Wow.
Yeah.
We need your genes. We're going to clone you guys in a million years.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So
You're down to number 4, sir.
I know. So on here, the goals of a musician, I would say that goals of every musician
Just
is
to wake up.
get up and have somebody appreciate your music, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if that's 1 million people, one person, or whatever. It's just somebody coming up and say, "Man, that was fucking awesome," right?
Yeah, if it's like 3 people or 2 tables, but they're connected, I can feel it whether or not they say it or not. There's a way when you're playing that I know that table's listening to me. And actually, I was playing at Grinders, and I looked at this guy having a sandwich, and I'm like, I'm going to stick with his era. Don't know him, never met him. He was the guy that got up, put the bigger bill in the hat on his way out and said, "You're awesome." But I just felt a connection with that guy. It was,
You were like Aquaman sending
I don't know.
that creature your musical love.
you guys
Oh,
know
geez.
music
Yes.
can go, exactly. So
Well, as you mentioned, you've got you don't have a huge past in your musical history, but as goals from having had 5 years in the business, from the Northeast to the Midwest, where do you go from here?
well, I like that I settled in Kansas City. It's an awesome city.
Halfway between everywhere.
I've made really good friends here. I think.
Is the family here?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
I've got support here, and I wrote that my goal might be to be a full-time musician at one point in my life, but at least go part-time on the motorcycles so I can actually have days where I can just really work on my craft, work on songwriting. Because when you're raising a couple of teenagers and you have a 60-hour week or 50-hour week job, and then you play out 4 nights a week, it's hard to really just find the time.
There is no time.
Yeah, it's tough.
You have to write songs in the bathroom.
Exactly.
While you're pumping gas, you're writing down the lyrics. Hell, I'll pull over and just write shit on the back of a piece of napkin or something.
Yeah.
If I have someone in the car, they'll think I want to talk to them, right? And I'll go, "You got an ink pen? Write this down." They'll go, "What the hell are you talking about?" "It's a song I just came up with. Please write it down now. I'll forget it."
Yeah.
I thought that's why you left your car dirty all the time, so you could write the.
There's nothing but a file system that no one knows but me.
I have a
there.
folder with little ripped pieces of paper going, that is a song title, that is.
I just meant you were writing it in the dust on your car.
Oh, in the dirt. That's nice, J.E.
Yeah.
You owe me a clean demo.
You know, they have apps on the phone, a notepad. You can just talk text.
You know, I tell you the most convenient thing that I use all the time is I've got a record button on my phone, and I'll hit it because I'll just sing the song that I'm thinking right into my record thing, and then when I get done, I'll share it straight to my computer, and then
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
I've got a recording app. I'm like, all right, let me nail this down, share it to your Google Drive or however you're doing it.
Very nice.
And then,
I'd like to hear Roberts after he's been drinking.
Hey, listen, like some of that stuff is top classified.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, you won't ever hear it until I'm dead. Some of those songs are bad. All right.
We'll be the judge of that.
Okay. All right. Again, if you're just joining us, we're in the studio today with Kurt Caldwell. I'm saying that correct?
Yes, sir.
Kurt Caldwell.
This man has been around. He's traveled south, north, east, and landed in Kansas City to bless us with his sounds. And we're so glad that you're here today. Now, he was asking you about your goals as a musician, and you said, you know, you just like to have the time to actually get creative in that space.
Yes.
And, you know, because when you're focusing on that and you don't have I call it the monkey in your mind. You know, you didn't pay the cable bill. Hey, did you let the dog out? Did you call that all that stuff because you're in that zone?
Yeah.
Versus being over here like, okay, it goes EAFG. I should put a pause there. What's that going to sound like to the other person? You know, all that. And I've said this to J.E. 1,000 times. That is the bomb diggity of opportunity and fun for me when I'm thinking about, like, my wife will go, "What do you want to do today?" I go, "Well, you know, I can go fishing. I could, you know, kiss you, or I could go down the studio and work on you know, music." And she always says, "Well, you can probably go fishing or go down and work on your music."
He skips the kiss, huh?
Right. She says, "Get the hell out of here."
Yeah.
No, but what I was leading up to here was trying to have a goal as a musician and keeping them realistic with yourself, I think is smart, and the expectation is in sync. Then if it goes above that expectation, then it's just wow. I think a lot of people hype themselves up, and I can't remember what artist said this, but they said, you know, with this being your freshman album, you know, your next album you're going to do is going to be better than the last album you did. And that's the excitement for people trying to record. So, you know, as a goal, this person said, "I just want the next one to be better than the last one." And you look at artists throughout the, you know, the centuries, that's really, I think, been kind of their goal too.
And that's a hard thing to do.
Oh, man.
We all know artists that are like, well, their first album was their best, and then what happened? But then there's artists that just kept getting bigger and better.
You know? Yeah, and there's a lot that just won't put the effort in to get an album out. I mean, or even some EPs. I mean, they find it, I don't know, it's too much of a challenge, or maybe it's because they don't want to have somebody look at that as a documented song and or part of them that they don't like, you know? Yeah. So I think that fear.
You know, touching on that thing about people recording or not recording, you know, it is no secret. I've had great recordings and crappy recordings. You know, some of those recordings, you know, were under constraint or budget or inexperience, you know, and then some of those were, you know, this is how this person wants the song to go. Let's all just fall in line, and you're going to have to sing in that key. I will give you some advice. just make sure that whatever you do it in your time span, and you do it to where you're not second guessing your potential, what it's going to sound like when you release it. Because as you start off, whatever you're doing now will be this brick, and then the next one will be your next measurement. So, if you start off here, like, that one-hit wonder,
yeah,
that next one, as long as you're doing it to the best of your ability, I think it can follow suit like that. And I'm okay with the crash and burns I've had in the past, because when I do have the one that's wow, it's going to be like, this was this, now look at this. Old, new, improved, so it's nothing but a journey of making yourself be polished. And really, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. It's for you, right for yourself.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be such a perfectionist to be like, as a vocalist, and you can hear things, you're like, that could have been better, but you captured the moment and the passion and the truth in it. Sometimes you got to let some of those things go.
The lightning.
Yeah, I like that. Well, and again, I mean, some people can find that lightning in a bottle on their first song and or album, right? And that's the whole purpose of the one-hit wonders. I truly believe, though,
like the Hansons,
the local musicians, though. I mean, when we're talking local musicians, that they're out hitting the venues on a regular basis, and they're working day jobs, or just like you're doing, and they're putting in the time. I mean, that side hustle becomes so important to you as well, right? And all of a sudden, I think being able to sit down, find the time like you do, or talking into your phones and whatever you guys are doing with that shit. The point is to find the time to do that, and then actually get the music out, right? I mean, it has to be very rewarding for you, I would imagine. And then, I mean, if it hits, it hits, right?
Right.
You did it, you got it. And as you said, I agree. I mean, you want to be able to feel good about it, but it's yours. You do with it what you will. So
yeah, when you start writing for other people's intentions, you start to commercialize yourself, and you start to take away from whatever's really on your thought before you put down the words.
Yeah.
If you're thinking, the question we ask a lot of people in here is, and I hinted it a little bit to you, but like when you're coming up with a song, are you hearing the words first and then putting the guitar to it? Or are you playing the guitar and then adding your words to it? Or is it a simultaneous experience?
It's usually playing some chords, starting to hum a melody, and actually come up with words that fit, and then say, nope, let's erase those until you're happy with. But there's usually a feeling.
There's a sound when you're singing those words before you even pick up the instrument.
And even in the old bands, I would just hear the riffs. It would start to come out with a melody and a cool lines that, that sounded pretty cool. And then you just build the song later.
Right.
You had your melody down, and those 4 good sentences you said with the band, you'd write it all out. The next rehearsal, you're like, let's do this. Let's put another verse, chorus, lead here, and whatever. And next thing you know, you got a song. So,
is there a sentence in a song that you're either going to sing to us or recently you put together that kind of rolls around in your head quite often that you think is a cool lyric?
I think the title of Audience of None, I mean, it's a song about having an audience of one, which was the wife.
Okay.
And we were both musicians, and she was an accomplished acoustic guitar player and singer.
Right.
Audience of one became Audience of None. I thought that was pretty catchy, but that's just what came out of that song. So that's all about me sitting on the porch, learning how to play. She bought me my first acoustic, and then we, drifted away.
Did she show you how to play it?
No.
No.
I'm self-taught. Just how do you make those
Bend your
7
fingers.
cowboy chords, and then you learn how to move things up and down the neck a little bit, and all just
from the Roy Clark video.
I'd like to take some lessons though from some good finger pickers.
Well, there's a guy right here in
Walt
this building.
Chambers.
Yeah, Walter, he'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Again, we're in the studio today with Kurt Caldwell. That's a Kurt with a K, so his abbreviated name is KC. KC Kurt. You can find Kurt on Facebook. What doesn't say? What's your Facebook handle? Just Kurt Caldwell?
Well, Kurt Caldwell Music, and then I have a personal page, and
Kurt Caldwell Music.
I have a music page because when COVID hit, I became part of the KC Online Live Music Series because I knew Scotty McBee.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
And so I was one of the featured artists, a couple times a month, where you'd be in your own house playing for everybody, and you'd see all the people giving you the
Actually, we had him in the studio, and he was talking a little bit about
They realized you had to make a real event, so you had to have a music page. So that's really why I have that. So.
Oh, gotcha.
But I always post when I play, and you can
let's
follow
talk
me
about
on
that.
I guess.
Yeah. So who are some of your musical influences that you've grown up with?
Vocally, David Bowie, Iggy Pop.
Nice.
Peter Murphy from the Dark Days, Bauhaus, and then as I
haven't heard that for a while.
Neil Young, of course.
Yeah.
I can't get quite as high as he does, but people like my version of Old Man and things of that nature. But
I saw him at the Bridge Fest in San Francisco. He's just as awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Townes Van Zandt.
Yeah, Van Zandt. That's another great one.
Yeah, those are
great.
good.
Those are great ones.
And modern, like Beck. I think some of his mellow albums are
love Beck.
Are beautiful.
Yeah, we saw Beck and Willie Nelson as Starlight.
Wow.
A couple of years ago, and I didn't know how that show was going to go. And they both put on a great show, but at the end of it, Beck wanted Willie to come out and do a song, right? And you could tell Willie must have been, enjoying his after hours or whatever, but they drag him out on stage.
In a wheelchair?
No, he was standing.
Oh.
And he looks at Beck, and he looks out in the crowd, and I swear to God, he sang like a half of a verse and walked off the stage. He's like, I don't even know I don't know what was going on in his head. But he's probably saying something like, I don't know your damn song. You didn't even give me a clue in.
I don't get it. I mean, he is a great human being, and he has done so much.
Beck or Willie?
Willie.
Both.
I mean, the last time I saw him, it was an award show, and I'm guessing he was the one getting the award, right? And they brought him up there, kind of like what you were just saying. And, they walked him on stage, and he was singing this song of his, but his lips were quivering, and he was shaking. And I mean, I'm like, holy fuck, this is when he dies right here on TV.
No, Willie forever. Willie forever.
Absolutely, Willie forever.
I mean, you'd think that he'd just go enjoy life, He's got the best weed that you can buy. And
sure, well, that's why he's still alive, probably. If he didn't have that modern medicine, he'd already be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him down at the Horny Toad years ago. And
the Horny Toad.
I walked up to him to get an autograph from him, right? I have this album. It's called Top 10 Hits. He wrote 10 #1 hits for 10 other people before he ever recorded them himself. Then he recorded them and he put them on this album. And on the front of the album, it's got these rodeo riders with number tags on their back. It's a real rare album. And I'm like, I'm going to meet Willie Nelson. I'm going to have him sign it. And he's about, I'd say, from a little bit further than we are to that door over there. And I start walking towards him, and this Jethro Bodine dude out of nowhere pops up right in front of my radar, and he goes, hey. I go, what? He goes, were you planning on going over there to meet Willie Nelson? And I go, and this is in a VIP room and everything. I go, yeah, I've been downstairs all backstage and everything. He goes, well, you can't. I go, well, how come? He goes, you see, son, he's got enough fans. And if you go over there and shake his hand, you might shake it plumb off, and then he can't play no more.
Oh, man.
I look at him, I go, really? Are you serious? He goes, yeah, and don't try it because you might break your hand if you try.
I will tell you right now
okay,
that I got to meet him backstage and shook his hand.
Did you break it off?
I did not.
Okay.
And he's a little fella. I mean, he came to about right here on me. He's like, boy, you're a big boy.
He's like a Yoda.
I'm like, I wanted to pet him.
Put him in a little backpack and run through the country forest.
All right.
Okay.
So you came up liking Iggy and Bowie, and then
Bowie.
Then into Neil Young, which I'm a huge Neil Young fan.
My God, the best.
Oh, God, I mean, when he was playing with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, I mean, talk about some of the best vocal harmonies between him and David Crosby. Oh,
Everybody Know This Is Nowhere is one of my favorite songs.
What about
That's a great.
Mine too. What about local musicians? Who do you like here in town?
Well, like I mentioned, Scotty Eggleston is kind of why I'm here.
Scotty Eagleson Band and the Cowardly Lions.
Yeah. Brandon Miller.
Love Brandon.
Him and I played some of the unplugged Jerry's Bait Shops during the COVID stuff. Daniel Nicole.
Yeah.
Sure, Daniel.
I'd say the height of my career was I sang Chris Stapleton's Cold on Jerry's stage with Danielle playing bass. And every time she sings, I'm like, that could have been on a recording. But
sure,
finishing that song and not really messing it up on a busy night and looking back, and she gave me a smile. I was just like,
oh, man,
I've made it.
Awesome.
She's a beautiful musician and a beautiful person and a beautiful soul. And she's really been, you know, she's worked so hard to get to where she's at. And it's nice that she has been so kind and inviting to other artists, especially other female artists, cracking their teeth in the planet. And just kudos to you, Danielle Nicole, for caring and giving a shit.
She is awesome.
Yeah.
Great band, you know.
And you mentioned Stolen Winnebagos.
Yeah, Colby Guile. I mean, there's a story there. He used to play Monday nights at Jerry's, and I sat down and sang some Neil Young. The bartender said, you know, Colby is doing this unplugged thing. They're kind of phasing out. Would you like Monday nights? And so I was just, you know, flabbergasted. I'm going to be playing Jerry's every Monday night. So I got that gig from, you know, just
Did you get
sitting
into
in with Colby.
Stonewall as well with him?
Yeah, I mean, because he's big there, and Trevor Gorman, you know, Coldwater, and those guys. Love those guys.
That's Ramona's son. They're getting ready to play some new joint at 91st and Metcalf. Have you heard of it?
No.
Have you?
Yeah, Serve.
Yeah.
Serve.
Ramona, she's a great friend of ours.
Yeah, she's a good friend of mine.
She's really cool.
Okay, so is that on the east or west side? Have you been there?
Serve is, yeah, we were just there for Trevor Gorman and his band Coldwater, I think is going to play.
Yeah.
That's
the invite she sent me.
Exactly.
So that's over
what
there.
What do you call that pickleball place? It's a huge complex, and I live very close to that.
It's on the
like the chicken and pickle, right?
Bowling side.
I think so.
Over on the east side, I guess that would be.
Yeah, that would be the east side. You're right.
I'm glad. West. Yeah. All right. Well,
but they have a huge stage, and there was a huge Notre Dame playing Duke right behind, you know, him playing. The biggest TV I've ever seen. But
wow,
I'm not real crazy.
I kind of like them to turn those off.
Yeah,
when the music's
I am
going,
too.
You know?
If you've ever listened to any of these podcasts, you will know that I'm not a huge fan of the venues that leave those on. I mean,
it's a distraction.
It really is. I mean, and most of the time, there's plenty of other fucking TVs. Let them watch it somewhere else. I mean,
exactly.
Right.
Anyway,
that's where someone needs to invent like a banner that hangs quickly over a television. Like a pillowcase banner for TVs.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's it.
On the next weird inventions. Tell us, you know, we talked about goals. We talked about where you've been. We talked about the music you like. You know, we talked a little bit about your day job. Where do you see Kansas City music from where you have been around the country to what's going on now? How would you say in comparison to other bigger cities in Kansas City, are there any stark differences between where you've been and what we're doing here music-wise?
Absolutely. I think the one thing I wish Kansas City would embrace, and you guys are helping, is local music. I mean, I want the population to want to go out and be excited about seeing a guy play 10 original songs or be in a completely original band like Wonder Fuzz. They play weddings and great covers, but they have an ensemble of great original music.
Other cities that you've been at, they're more excited about their original content.
Atlanta,
versus the
definitely.
Cover. Why do you think that is? What do you think the difference is? Because we've asked this question 1,000 times.
I don't know. I could speculate that.
Speculate. Give me a speculation.
We come from the blues, and blues. You know, the chord progressions of blues is you could mix them up on a bunch of songs, and I don't know, maybe that just transports over into a lot of covers, and there's some great cover bands here.
Sure.
You know, I'd like to think that my covers are, I kind of make them my own. You know, I don't try to make them different, but people have said, you know, I don't usually like that song, but I like your version of it.
Cool.
I mean, that's happened a few times. So
Yeah, if you're gonna do a cover, you got to own it.
I don't say, well, I have to play that intro lead exactly the way.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going into the vocal melody and the words. That's the way I'm going to do it, and people pick up on it.
Right on.
So
Right
Cool.
on.
Why don't you give us an idea of where Kirk Caldwell is going to be here in October, November, through the end of the year? What do you got going on?
Well, I'm looking forward to the end of the month on a Sunday at Jerry's Bait Shop. I'm actually going to be doing an open jam, and it's I'm hosting it with Leo Bud Johns, who's a keyboardist back in the day, and
That's a cool name.
Is that October 29th?
It's on a Sunday, so I don't have
It
it on
is.
my calendar. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm having
I
my
think so.
birthday bash that day.
Oh,
So I won't be able to make it.
but I'm going to try to do it.
What day is your birthday bash?
October 29th, Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're a Libra, right?
I am not. I'm a Scorpio.
Okay.
Yes, through and through.
But
Groovy.
I'm excited about the Jerry's gigs, and
Sure.
I'll be playing there probably a couple of Sundays a month,
Who knows? Danielle
depending
might
on the
show up.
depending on the football games.
Yeah, that's true. There is one that day. It's a
As
late
Colby
game.
Guile says from the Stolen Winnebago, so that's sports ball. That definitely affects our gigs.
My band's doing a show with them at Harrah's on November 17th. So where I met Colby, I was at the Stonegate pizza place there. Grinders has out there.
Stonewall.
Yeah, Stonewall. And he was sitting there getting ready to set up for a gig, and we started talking about this, that, and the other. And I just looked at him. I go, "Hey, would you want to play at Harrah's?" And he goes, "Sure." And I said, "I think I might be able to slide you in there." So this is February or whatever. We started chatting
Nice.
about it. So
Yeah.
it's cool. He's got a good following. They're good musicians. They're great people, and people like them. And by God, we like them.
Well,
Yeah.
they're. I mean, at Barley's, there's never a time I've seen them 2 or 3 times there that it's not a packed house. Vivo, same thing. Brewtop, at least the OP one. I mean, they have such a huge following. At least on the Johnson County side. I don't know, what they produce anywhere else in town,
Yeah.
but where I go see them, they're always packed.
Yeah.
And Kurt, you recently played the Plaza Art Festival, and you've been out the Kane Family Farm performing recently. So, are those gigs you've had a history of doing, or you just recently got those?
Well, Chad Borkwin has a company, and he booked me at the farms,
Cool.
and at the Plaza Art Fair. And unfortunately, I did get rained out. So
Damn it!
that was one of the biggest gigs I've ever been booked at. And we went back when the sun was out. I was like, wow, there's the stage I would have been on, and look at all those people. But the storms rolled in, and
Those are my people.
yeah, to drive home to a house with no power, make a little tea on the grill,
Right.
and there was hail that day.
I
So,
remember, yeah.
I totally understand, but weather can affect your gigs. But maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
You put in the effort, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was there.
I
I
like
was there
the
on
Kane
time.
Family Farm, though. That's a good gig.
I actually
playing around the
a
pool.
funny quick story is I went to Kane Family Farm Saturday and realized
there?
I was supposed to be at the Kearney Fun Farm.
Oh.
I texted Chad. I said, "Sorry for the mixed up. I'm going to be there in an hour. I'm going to give him 3 hours." He was fine with it. But I got the gig at a gig, and I get a text from Chad. "Hey, can you do something with a K Farms?" I'm like, it's got to be Kane Family Farms.
Sure,
So that
it
just
is
stuck
far.
in my head, and it was a pumpkin patch, So,
Up in Kearney.
yeah, exactly.
Well, as long as they paid you and didn't trade you in pumpkins,
Yeah. It was a nice gig, perfect weather. and
we'll
He-
give you 6
yeah.
jack-o'-lanterns for an hour and a half of production.
he was understanding. I got a turkey leg out
I
of it.
do. I like
Turkey leg.
the Kane Family Farm. It's not only is it a good little venue, but they are they pay the bands. They're good to the bands, and they've got. Well, you never know what they've got going on because I had a friend of mine that they booked Damian Gunn
Yeah.
out there.
Damian Gunn.
It was a frickin' sorority party or something. I mean, so it was,
a kegger.
That was the deal. I mean, it was not just going to be and yeah, it was incredible. The scenery was on that particular gig.
Yeah, I was out there for
Nice
Deanne's
instruments.
album release party, and that's
yes.
where I was introduced to who Chad Borkwin was, and then I met him. But he paid played on her album, and
Yeah.
it was right in front of the pool on a nice night.
Well, she helps him book, right? That's who she's with.
I don't know.
I think so. I think we had her in here, and I think that's. I remember her saying that. But okay, back to any other gigs coming up? Any holiday stuff you got?
Any
going
thank yous you want to put out there? Any spiritual chants you want to send to the universe?
I know I'm playing in November at Stonewall Grinders.
Okay.
Oh.
So thanks to that place for having me all
And that's
these
your buddy
Mondays.
Stretches, right?
Yes, that freak.
Yeah, and then and that's in November around Thanksgiving.
There's a couple in November.
Oh, couple.
And I
cool.
play. I think I'm going to be playing at Meddy's Mediterranean Cafe.
Where's that at?
In Prairie Village, and they're opening another one in Brookside soon. They're out of Wichita, actually.
Oh,
gotcha.
But me and Aaron
Meddy's.
Lucero play there, and it's
Okay.
really healthy food.
yummy.
Nice. You
I don't
kind
know
of
that I can go
order
there
up
then.
and you bring your number to the table, but they've got all the olive oil and the crazy Greek seasonings.
Oh,
and
cool.
Nice.
They have a
Yeah.
small bar in there, so it covers all the bases. You know.
Awesome.
Meddy's in Prairie Village.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mediterranean cuisine.
What about going into December? You got any Christmas stuff coming up that you know about?
Probably some private parties. You know, New Year's Eve parties. I don't have usually. For me, I've got this month pretty booked, but looking forward. I really just know about the Jerry's,
Right.
and follow me on Facebook, and you'll know when I play.
We will. And when you get the music put together, shoot us a message, and we will absolutely help get that out and get some airtime on that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Kurt, thanks for being here today.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
been
This
awesome.
has been fun.
Yeah.
It's been relaxed and
Well,
nice.
we try to keep it that way. Robert gets you kind of anxious a little bit. But
Sure. Blame everything on
It's
the
just his
goddamn
way.
other
we
guy,
kept the
yeah.
language pretty
Right.
clean and everything.
Sure.
I think we're good.
Well,
Sure.
you did
Sure.
anyway.
No cussing there.
Unless your mom's listening, I don't
No.
care.
Next-
All right, Robert, take us out of here.
Remember, be good to yourself, be good to others, and be good to musicians. Thanks for joining us today on Kansas City Limits Radio.
Amen.
Awesome. Thank you.
Kurt, thanks again for joining us here in the studio. Now, you get out there, you play a lot of places. Is there a place there local that you like to get to?
Well, one of my favorite places is Murphy's Corner,
Okay.
and it's on 87th Street. It used to
Okay.
be Callahan's 87th. Jessica Miller's been booking bands for years.
Cool.
She's one of the owners. My son actually cooks there,
Awesome.
and they like him, so he's 18.
That's cool.
And he's a musician. We'll be seeing him sometime. But I love playing at Murphy's Corner, and I play First Fridays there with Colin Bowen, who's a very good singer and plays a lot of leads. 'Cause
Awesome.
I don't play a lot of leads, so we play together the first Fridays of every month at
Wonderful.
Murphy's Corner. Yeah.
You guys need to check that gig out. Go out there and check it out at Murphy's Corner. You going to play us a song or two that maybe you perform there?
I'll play a couple of originals for you.
Awesome.
You don't
What's the song
mind?
called?
It's called Audience of None. Playing tunes on the front porch, door tightly shut at my back. Although my wife was just inside, never came out and just sat. We could have enjoyed the moonlight or shared in a common song. Don't know why it never happened. I never knew what went wrong. The audience of one became my audience of none. My audience of one became my audience of none. 4 years went by on this front porch, playing songs to myself, and even writing my own ones, help keep my heart on a shelf. Sometimes they brought tears to my eyes. Sometimes a neighbor would say, I've heard that one in my church. Hallelujah took me to Judgment Day. My audience of one became my audience of none. My audience of one became my audience of none. Our songs inspired us when we met. They carried love in our hearts. You gave me my first acoustic, but then we grew apart. They say love changes after kids. It takes some work on both parts. Where did the love go in your song? The love you felt at the start. My audience of one became my audience of none. My audience of one became my audience of none. Thanks, guys.
That's deep, dude. That's deep.
I love that.
Yes. Awesome. You got some more for us? You going to play
I'm
another?
going to do one more,
Yeah.
another original for you.
What's this one called?
It's called Blue Crush.
Awesome.
I want a crush that is so new, one that will not leave me blue. I can't see one up on the rise. They only come as a surprise. And I know my love was real, and she made me just how I feel. Blue crush, blue crush, got a blue crush today. Last one I had, it hurt me bad. Made me see that I was had. See, had a way to keep me at bay, and filled my phone with text all day. But it's gone, and I can't erase what I felt in that warm place. Blue crush, blue crush, got a blue crush today. People say they come and go. To hold one long, you have to know all the ways to keep it true. A crush that will not leave me blue. And I know my love was real, and she made me just how I feel. But it's gone, and I can't erase what I felt in that warm place. Blue crush, blue
got a blue crush today.